بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربنا افتح بيننا وبين قومنا بالحق وأنت خير الفاتحين. أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته and welcome to week 3 of Tuhfatul-Atfal Gateway to Tajweed, hosted by the Tiger Quran Study Club. So far in the course we've gone over some of the basics of the introductory Tajweed and the introduction to the Tuhfatul-Atfal, a poem written by Sheikh al-Jamzuri, rahimahullah. And we've gone over the rules of Noon, Sakina, and Tanween. Today, before we get stuck into it, we have an amazing guest coming in, Ustad Ibrahim Al-Matari, who is the National Academic Coordinator of the Otago Quran Study Club. He is the brains behind really pushing all the programs at this in this organization, Barakallahu fi, and he has powered a large revival of the Quran in its taught form across all of Aotearoa. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless him and grant him the highest levels of paradise. Brother Ibrahim, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, just letting you guys know, at the end of the day, don't bother with all the introductions that Brother Ayman has kindly given to me. As in the Quran specifically states, وَكُلُّهُمْ آتِيهِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ فَرْدًا. Every single person is going to come to him and be accountable alone. And I guess that's why we are here at the end of the day, because the Quran, as Imam al-Shatibi has said, and we all recite in his style, وَخَيْرُ جَلِيسٍ لَا يُمَلُّ حَدِيثُهُ. He is the best companion they could ever be with. بِالْقَبْرِ يَلْقَاهُ سَنًا مُتَهَلِّلًا. In the qabr, in the grave, it is the only person that will be there for you. And I thought I'd remind you guys of this thing, of this long tradition and long line of tradition of people that were reciting, because we are currently carrying on a legacy here, inshallah. Regardless, it's not just Aotearoa, this is basically the matter of the Ummah. So to cut a long story short, without any further ado, part of my job involves jumping around between the different programs that mashallah OQSC manages, seeing how they tie in together with regards to our national strategy. Now, people say, well, how come is there a national strategy for POD? Does it require it? Are there even qualifications? And that's what we're trying to achieve by setting national standards across the whole of New Zealand. Tuhfatul-Atfal is just one of the many programs. Obviously, there are specifically tailored programs to your needs. And I'll obviously just give you a bit of a brief background about it. Let me explain the reason I'm here today. So to cut a long story short, what we are looking for at the moment is helping you guys achieve the maximum potential in your course. By doing this, we try to focus on the feedback that we get from students, in addition to best practice when it comes to teaching. For example, the difference between us and other organizations that are happening across New Zealand is if you volunteer to be a teacher under me personally, I will not throw you in a class and tell you, here you go, here's 10 or 20 students. You will be mentored on a one-to-one basis and given individual feedback until, mashallah, you start running things in a small halaqah program, then you run it citywide and then nationwide. To do that, obviously, we have a process. Now, based on the feedback from Brother Ayman, from the teachers I've come across from different masajid and mashayikh I've talked to, and including Sheikh Muhammad Amir, who's currently, obviously, is my sheikh, and he's the head of the ulama board. The biggest concern that we've personally had offering this program isn't the fact that you guys aren't going to pass. MashaAllah, with your teacher and his credentials and a lot of your hard work, a lot of the syllabus has been translated and it's pretty easy to understand. It's pretty straightforward. If I ask you what other letters are required by the end of the 6 weeks or 10 weeks, we'll say 6 letters for this one, 5 letters for this one, and it's all good. So it's very easy to achieve 90% with little effort. It is very hard, however, to break away from the habit of reciting B and B. And that is what we're trying to fix on the practical side of things. So Sheikh Amir has come to me personally and has said, what strategy have you put in place to make sure that people are actually as good as they say from the practical side? And so far, If you do not have a certified muqri or full Islam Ijaza teaching you in a masjid or near equivalent, or you don't have an imam in the masjid, because I know because I've been raised in Wellington for 20 years, then it'll be very difficult to achieve, you could say, that we'll get the most out of this course. Basically, to go along with it, our main aim is to make it as easy for you as possible, not just for this course, but to actually prep you up for future courses should you carry on to Qari Future or do the higher course or the highest qualification, which is yours. And that is by offering you guys free, and this will never even happen even in Sydney, because I'm currently based in Sydney right now. This is free. Come in, discuss anything on your mind session, and also get one-on-one practice. So this is something that we are doing exclusive to OQSC, and we have been told two things. It's not offered free to adults in New Zealand. That's number one. And number two, I am still to find not just a maqra'ah or a recitation school, but in New Zealand or Australia, but even internationally, that will give that much of a teacher to student ratio. So obviously, alhamdulillah, because I run an international, and I am currently studying, you guys are in for a really good surprise, mashallah. So we're just offering this thing out there. I'm not going to carry on too much. These are practical drop-in sessions, but I was already discussing with you guys, I think. Times should be posted out shortly. If you have any questions, do let them know. But that's basically it, really. So it's here. These sessions are purely to back you up with the tajweed. So you will be practically applying tajweed. I'll be like, عليهم بوكيل. What is this? This is إخفاء. أولئك. What type of mad is that? And we're linking it back to the class. And inshallah, this will be really good if you are going to be, if you're currently teaching, you're looking to upskill, or you're looking to get into higher education tajweed. Jazakallah khair, brother. I've taken up too much of your time. I'll just open up the floor to anybody that has any questions or anything in particular, and I'll probably sign off, inshallah.
All right, sweet. In that case, we'll wrap it up here. Jazakallah khair, and thank you so much, Brother Ibrahim, for coming in and for your help. So, inshallah, when we send out the drop-in sessions this week, Brother Ibrahim is going to take on 2 of the drop-in sessions. Last week he did 1 of them. So, do go along and do learn from him. He has a lot of good insight to share. Jazakallah khair. Wassalamu
Jazakallah khair. Assalamu
alaikum. Okay, let's get stuck into it. First things first, I want to do a bit of a revision of what we went over last week, just to make sure that we have fully stabilized it in our minds. So, I'll let you guys look into my notes, my personal teaching notes, just to give you a very quick overview, just a quick skim to remind you what we did go over. So, with the chapter of Nun Sakina and Tanween, key terms and definitions. If you haven't taken notes, take notes. Otherwise, you can add on to your notes from last week on this chapter because it comes from the same chapter of the poem. Some key terms and definitions. Nun Sakin. Nun Sakina is the unvoweled Nun. So that's your regular old Nun. No Fatha, no Dhamma, no Kasra. Or it has a little Sukun on top. Tanween. Tanween. Tanween is 2 vowels over a letter that make the same sound of Nun. So that's 2 fathas making an N, 2 kasras making an In, 2 dhammas making Un. An, In, Un. Noon has 2 components, as I said. The first component of Noon is the N part, the part that comes like the letter N in English. That's your tongue touching the gums, the top of your gums from your teeth. Okay? N, N, N. An, An, An. The second part is our ghunna, our nasal vibration, and that comes from the nose. Now, remember what I gave you a little exercise. If you were to lightly place both fingers, your thumb and your index finger, on both sides of your nose, and then go n, n. Everyone try it out right now. Turn off your mic. Just try out the letter Noon and hold it there and feel the vibration coming from your nose. N. N. Now, if you were to try to completely pinch your nose fully shut, okay, and no airflow coming from your nose, it's fully blocked, they'll try to do the same sound, and 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 nothing's gonna come out. Nothing's gonna work because that is another component of the noon, which must exist. So these are our two components of the noon. By the way, if I'm going too fast, please just call out. We'll go back to it again. We're gonna take it nice and slow. Don't worry about the course schedule or the curriculum. We're doing this nice and slowly. I'll get back to that point later. This is an important point. We have four main rules that pertain to this chapter of Nun Sakina and Tanween. We first have Ilhar, Adgham, Iqlab, and Ikhfa. What does all that mean? Let's go through them one by one. Again, one by one. If this feels too repetitive, that's low-key a good thing. Because these things take a lot of repetition till they become fully ingrained in our memory. Number one, Izhar, to make clear. Izhar, to make clear. Clearing up. Izhar. If Nun Sakin, or Tanween, is followed by one of the 6 letters of the throat, then it will be pronounced without ghunna. Okay? So, n, n. What are the 6 letters that we're looking for? Hamza, ha, ayn, ha, ghayn, kha. I'm going to say them again. Hamza, ha, ayn, ha, ghayn, kha. A, ha, a, ha, gh, kha. You'll notice all of these come from your throat. A, ha, a, ha, gh, kha. If Nun Sakin or Tanween comes before any of these, then we do the ruling that we call Izhar, to make clear. I think I made that clear. Now, remember when we said the Nun has 2 components? In the ruling of Izhar, of making clear, the tongue component, we do it. The n, n, n. The ghunna or the nasal component, we do not do. Or at least not to that level. It's very, 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 very faint. So, for example, you have I'm sorry, I said Muhammad.
I think there are examples below, aren't there?
An aqimu. An followed by a hamza. That means I'm going to make the noon nice and clear. Number 2, our second ruling is idgham, to merge. Idgham, to merge. To merge, idgham. Okay. You don't have to memorize these Arabic terminologies, by the way. I'm not going to test you on, what does this mean in English, or what does that mean in Arabic, but it does help to know them. If Nun Sakin or Tanween is followed by one of the 6 letters of the phrase yarmalun, yarmalun, then it merges into the next letter. So what are these 6 letters? Ya, Ra, Mim, Lam, Waw, Nun. Nice and easy to remember. Yarmalun. Yarmalun. Idgham is the hardest one to remember because you have to remember that there's 2 parts of Idgham. We have 2 subcategories to worry about, to think about. The first of those, 2A, we have Idgham with Ghunna. Idgham with Ghunna. So if Nun Sakin or Tanween is followed by any of the 4 letters of Yanmu, Ya, Nun, Mim, Waw, Yanmu, then we merge with Ghunna. Okay? We merge it with Ghunna. Again, let's go back to the letters. Originally, we started with Yarmulun, these 6, Ya, Ra, Mim, Ham, Waw, Nun. Now, with Ghunna, we only do 4, Ya, Nun, Mim, Waw. In these ones, we get rid of the tongue component, so the N is gone, but we do keep the Ghunna, the nasal component. For example, in the phrase, Amman Ya'ti, so that's a Nun Sakin at the end of the word Amman, followed by the word Ya'ti. which starts with a ya. Ya is one of the letters of yanmu. Okay. What am I going to do? I'm going to do ghunna. I'm going to do ghunna, but I'm not going to do the tongue component. So what's it going to sound like? It's going to sound like أَمَّن يَأْتِي أَمَّن يَأْتِي. Notice, I did not let my tongue touch my teeth to make the n sound, but I still made the ghunna sound from my nose. 2b, our second rule of idgham, is idgham without ghunna. Idgham without ghunna. Shocker, it's in the name. If followed by lam or ra, then we skip the ghunna. What do you know? There's no ghunna. So, if you have a nun sakin or tanween followed by lam or ra, and those are the two letters of yarmulun we haven't talked about explicitly yet, then we skip the nun sakin and tanween entirely. So I've made it easy for you guys. Basically, all you need to know is the tongue component is out, the nasal component is out, the whole thing is just gone. The whole thing is gone. For example, in Surah Al-Ma'idah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, مَنْ لَعَنَهُ مَنْ لَعَنَهُ مَنْ لَعَنَهُ. That's mim noon. The first word man ends with noon. The second word starts with a lam, لَعَنَهُ. When read together, you would say, مَنْ لَعَنَهُ مَنْ لَعَنَهُ. I completely just skipped the noon. So if you have noon sakin or tanween followed by lam or ra, just skip it completely. Don't think about it too deep. Important side note. Okay, this is an exception to the rule. The rule of idgham only applies if we're talking about letters between two separate words. If nun sakin or tanween comes in the end of a word, then the next word starts with idgham, with an idgham letter, then the rule applies. Idgham letters as in yarmulun, ya, ra, mim, lam, waw, nun. If this occurs within the same word, so you have a noon followed by a ya or a ra or a mim or a lam or a waw or a noon, then, for example, in the words dunya or sinwan, then we pronounce it clearly. The noon is going to be pronounced clearly. We don't do idgham. We do not merge. We just make it clear. And that is called izhar mutlaq. Izhar mutlaq. To make absolutely clear. To absolutely make clear. This rule, okay, I'm just letting you know. I'm telling you guys because it's good to know. But it's so niche, it only happens in 4 words in the whole Quran. There's only 4 words in the Quran where you're ever going to use this rule. Dunya, as I have it here, Sunwan, Qinwan, Bunyan. Right? And they're always followed by waw or ya. Sweet. Okay. Our third ruling of nun sakin or tanween is iqlab, to switch. Iqlab, to switch. To switch, iqlab. So what we've got so far, the first one we had izhar, to make clear. Then we had idgham, to merge. Then we have iqlab, to switch. What is iqlab? If nun sakina or tanween, that's a typo. This is supposed to say tanween. If nun sakin or tanween are followed by a ba, then the ba will be switched to a meme sound instead. Yeah, we're just getting rid of the nun or the tanween and we're making it a meme instead. So the tongue component of the nun, the n part, is gone. Why? Well, obviously because it's not a nun anymore, it's a meme. However, the ghunna, the nasal component, we do keep that because we'll go over this in 2 chapters from now. Meme also has the nasal component. So we're switching up. We're switching iqlab to switch. Iqlab to switch. And it's really easy to remember the letter of iqlab because it's just ba. Iqlab, ba. Iqlab, ba. Nice and easy to remember. Our fourth and our last rule is ikhfa, to hide. Ikhfa, to hide. To hide, ikhfa. Quick rehash. Number 1, we had إظهار, to make clear. Number 2, إدغام, to merge, and that's got 2 subcategories, إدغام with غنة, إدغام without غنة. Our third is إقلاب, to switch, and our fourth and last one, إخفاء, to hide. إخفاء, to hide. If nun sakina or tanween are followed by any of the other 15 letters of the alphabet that we haven't covered above, then they must be hidden. To hide, إخفاء, it's in there. What are these letters? Sad, Dha, Tha, Kaf, Jim, Shin, Kaf, Sin, Dal, Ta, Zay, Fa, Ta, Dad, Dha. How can you remember them all? Well, we've got 2 methods of them, 2 methods of learning them all. I'll let you guys pick which one you want to do. The first method is you memorize the top 3, right? You got to memorize those. And anything that doesn't fit in those 3 categories is going to be one of your letters of ikhfa. That's nice and easy process of elimination. The other way you can remember, and that's the way that that's being taught as part of the Tuhfa, the one that the Sheikh wrote, is the little endonym that he puts in there, a nice little phrase / piece of advice that he puts. The first letter of each word is one of these letters. And that phrase was, we talked about it in detail last lesson. صف ذاتنا كم جاد شخصا قد سما دم طيبا زد في تقى ضع ظالما. صف ذاتنا كم جاد شخصا قد سما دم طيبا زد في تقى ضع ظالما. Describe the one of excellence. Increase your taqwa, increase your piety, or your God consciousness, and leave behind any oppressor. Now, back to the rule of ikhfa. Ikhfa, the tongue component, we get rid of it. We're hiding the tongue component of the nun. There's no ne part. However, we do still keep the ghunna. We still keep the nasal component. So, for example, man dhara'a. Man dhara'a. So the last letter is nun, followed by a dha. Okay? There is the letter of ikhfa. So what I'm going to do for the nun, I'll cancel out the tongue component. However, I'm still going to do the ghunna component. I'm still going to do the vibration from my nose. So, man dhara'a. Man dhara'a. Ala barakatillah. That's nice and easy. Now, to solidify, before we actually go on that, really important. Someone may have noticed what is similar with the rule of ikhfa. We said the tongue component is cancelled out, but the ghunna, the nasal component, is kept in. Which one of the other rulings that we talked about worked the same way? Who remembers? Open floor, just say it out loud.
Is it idgham?
Be more specific.
Idgham with ghunna.
Bila ghunna, like without ghunna.
Idgham without ghunna has the ghunna component? You're close.
Idgham with ghunna.
Idgham with ghunna. Yes. Barakallahu feek, Mustafa. Idgham with ghunna. With ghunna. With the nasal component. It's in the name. Alhamdulillah. Idgham with ghunna follows the same pattern of ikhfa. You make that connection and you're just cracked. MashaAllah. Let's go through this very, very quickly again now. Steamroll through it. And this is just to reinforce. Rules of nun sakina and tanween. Remember, nun sakina is the unvoweled nun, and tanween is when you have a doubling of any vowel to make an, in, un sound. Components of nun, we have the n sound that comes from the tongue touching the gums of the teeth, n, and the ghunna, and this nasal vibration that comes from the nose. We have 4 rules that pertain to the rules of nun sakina and tanween. The first rule is ilhar, to make clear. And that is, if we have any of the 6 throat letters, then we pronounce the nun, however, we do it without a ghunna. Our 6 letters are Hamza, Ha, Ain, Ha, Ghain, Kha. Hamza, Ha, Ain, Ha, Ghain, Kha. Tongue component stays, N, N, N. The nasal component goes. Our second rule is idgham, idgham to merge. If nun sakina or tanween is followed by one of the 6 letters of yarmudun, ya, ra, mim, lam, waw, nun, then it merges into the next letter. We have 2 subcategories of idgham. We have idgham with ghunna, and that's when we see any of these 4 letters of the term yanmu, ya, nun, mim, waw, then the tongue component gets cancelled out. However, the nasal component stays in. The second subcategory is idgham without ghunna, and that's with the other 2 letters, lam and ra. In this case, make it easy on yourself. We just skip the noon and the tanween, and the noon or the lam or the tanween completely. No tongue component, no nasal component. It's almost like it doesn't exist. Remember, idgham only applies to 2 separate words. If it's in the same word, we do what's called izhar mutlaq to make absolutely clear, such as the terms dunya and sunwan. Iqlab. Number 3. Iqlab to switch. Iqlab, switch. Easy way to remember iqlab, the letter of iqlab is just one. It's ba. It's the letter from iqlab. B, iqlab. Iqlab, b. Right? If noon sakin is followed by a ba, then we switch it up to a meme instead. The tongue component goes out the window. Why? Because it's not a noon anymore. It's actually a meme. The ghunna still stays. Why? Because meme has ghunna. Our fourth ruling is ikhfa, to hide. If noon sakina or tanween are followed by any of the other 15 letters we haven't talked about yet, then what do? We hide our noon sakin or tanween. Letters that we need to worry about for this one are found in the phrase صف ذا ثنا كم جاد شخصا قد سما دم طيبا زد فيه تقن ضع ظالما. No tongue component, however, we do not leave behind the ghunna. The ghunna comes with us on this ride. All right, alhamdulillah, that is for you a summary of noon sakina and tanween. Now, I'll open the floor to questions in a moment, but this takes me to an important tangent. Someone asked a really good question in one of our drop-in sessions. Someone asked, actually a few people asked, actually multiple people, about the actual poem. Why are we learning a poem? Why are we learning a matn? Why don't we just learn rules? I don't understand. Now, we're doing something really, really unique here in this course. I don't know of anywhere else in the world which is doing something like this. It's a very New Zealand thing to do. It's something which I feel like only a Kiwi can think of. But inshallah, I think it's something that we're testing out, and it has been fruitful when we've done it in the past, and inshallah it will be fruitful in this cohort of students. And that is, we use the traditional teaching style of the matn, of the poetry. And this is a traditional teaching style which is still used in many parts of the Muslim world today, in which they get information of any aspect of knowledge. That can be fiqh, sharia, tajweed, obviously. It could be things like medicine, engineering. And they get all of these concepts. They write them down into massive terms and textbooks. And then a scholar will go and compress this information until he condenses it into the most condensed form of information he can give you. And that comes in the form of poetry, in the form of matn. Then the student will memorize just a few words, just a few lines of poetry, and that accompanies his studies of the topic, of the subject. Therefore, he understands so much more information by memorizing just a little bit. I hope that's clear. It's like if you got a massive file, okay, your computer just does not have enough storage space to get it, to take that in, but you feed it instead a compressed version of the file, but it still understands like most of it. However, what's different here is that you learn the matn alongside the explanation of the matn, the explanation of the poem, such that you are able to understand it. What that means is then, after you've learned, after you've graduated, if you're ever unsure about a topic or about some kind of content, rather than having to search through massive encyclopedias, you can just go to your memory, to the poem that you know, go to the chapter heading that you're thinking of, just quickly read it out. Oh, yeah, there we go. I found the rule that I'm looking for. This is what this rule means. This is what I do in this situation. So it's an epistemology which is popular within the Muslim world, and it has served us well over the last 1400 years or so. And that is how a lot of our traditional knowledge seeking has been. Now, I'm willing to wager that no one here has learned with that style. Or so like very, very few people here have learned in that style. And that's normal. That's completely that's what we expect. It is starting to, it's not really a common thing. And again, in English doesn't have a strong poetic culture to it. We have, you have like your Shakespeare and whatnot, but not an educational poetic culture to it. And so many of you would be familiar with the concept of learning via a classroom, especially those who completed some aspect of their schooling during the pandemic. Alhamdulillah. You would be familiar with online classes, attending an online class where there's a teacher and they're talking at you, and you're just trying to write down content in a way that you understand in your own notes. Now, what we're doing here with this course is we're combining the two epistemologies together to try and get the best of both worlds. Rather than giving you some boring old textbook material, I'm giving you the highest quality of tajweed education that the religion of Islam has to offer, but translating it into a context and into a style which can be absorbed by you given your educational backgrounds. Because of that, there is no expectation at the end of this course for anyone to read this poem or to memorize this poem or to be tested on this poem. Rather, we're using it as a framework by which we derive the course content which you're being taught, which is what you will be tested on. So things like the notes which I just showed you now, that is the kind of thing which we expect you to come out of this class with. Not just written notes, but obviously understanding and application, and that's why we've got the drop-in sessions, so that you can actually apply these in your day-to-day recitation. I hope that clarifies things. And that because of that, another clarification and a caveat I have to do, in case anyone was not aware, I don't mean to burst your bubble. I will not be handing out an ijazah at the end of this course. I will not be handing out an ijazah at the end of this course. Ijazah is a certification to prove that you know this method. So ijazah, like the sanad, the chain of transmission that I showed you in the first lesson. Poems, they also have chains of transmission from the author. So I have a chain of transmission for this poem. However, I will not be handing this out because, quite simply, we're not learning it in that style. And to be able to give out that kind of certification, I would need the student to be able to sit with me and from memory read the whole poem and be able to explain to me each and every single line, word for word, in their own words. So that's something which is a bit beyond the scope of this lesson, and we're not expecting you to do that. Don't worry. If you're non-Arab, don't think that you're disadvantaged in any way. If you're Arab, don't think that we're traumatizing you with quick memories of Arabic classes. This is just a guideline that we're using to teach tajweed. Hope that helps. Any questions on what I said or in general about Nun Sakina and Tanween? Beautiful. I have questions. You better hope you have some good notes. Bismillah. Arfan, are you here?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What are the 6 letters of Ilhar?
Sorry, 6 letters of Idhar.
Mm-hmm.
Ha, Hamza, Ain, Ha, Ghain, Kha.
MashaAllah. And what's common between all these letters?
They're the throat letters.
They're the throat letters. Nice. They come from the throat. Good stuff. All right. Who do we have? Bismillah. Noor. Are you here?
Yep.
What are the 2 subcategories of idgham?
There's idgham with ghunna and idgham without ghunna, or naqis and kamil.
MashaAllah. Good. Sorry, who is in A? In A? Someone's coming to the meeting with a name in A. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Please come in with your real names, just so we know who you are, and so when we mark attendance. All right, Sydney, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. What are the two letters, just two letters, of idgham without ghunnah, merging without ghunnah? You can look at your notes.
Sorry. Idgham with gunnah, is that what we said?
Without.
Oh, without. Yes, without. Lam and Ra.
Barakallah feek. Good. Haya,
Yeah.
what are the letters with ghunnah? Idgham with ghunnah, merging with ghunnah.
Yenmu.
Just
So
out, please.
Ya, Noon, Mim, and Wa.
Barakallah feek. Hilmiya,
Yes.
what are the letters of iqlab, to switch?
The switch, it's Ba.
Good, mashallah. Just the one letter. Only
Yeah.
one letter you have to worry about. Bismillah. Ishfa,
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
What are the letters of idhar? Sorry, not idhar. What are the letters of ikhfa, to hide?
Ta, Tha, Jim, Za, Sin, Shin, Sad, Dad, Qaf, Kaf, Lam.
Not lam.
Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Jim. Sorry, shall I start from the beginning?
Yeah, honestly, you blew me away. Don't worry, you don't need to list all 15 to me. What I mean, I just gave it away. How else could you find out what are the letters of idhar?
The letters which doesn't come under the other three categories.
Yep. And how many there are?
15.
15. Nice. Barakallah feek. MashaAllah. All right. I have a bit of an advanced question. This is optional. Anyone who knows it, just say it out loud. What is idhar mutlaq? To make absolutely clear.
If what's it called? The idgham. If the idgham comes in the same word as the noon sakin, then it's made absolutely clear.
Correct. MashaAllah. And how many instances do we have of that?
Just 4.
Just 4 words. All right, barakallahu feekum. That is very good. I'm just going to take a listen to that. That is pretty solid. Okay, now we're going to go on to some practical demonstrations of these rules. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. All right. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Mazen, kick us off with this. Actually, I'll start with the first one, and just to show you guys what I'm expecting. So, if I ask you to read this one, I will say, can you please read this? Narun hamiya. How do I explain what's going on? Well, I have a tanween over here on top of the ra, and that tanween, one of my rules of nun sakin and tanween is followed by a ha. Ha is a throat letter. Therefore, I know that I'm going to do idhar. I'm going to make it clear. So I make the n sound of the tanween nice and clear. Narun hamiya. All right. Mazin, can you do the second one, please?
Sure thing. Just the whole line there.
Yes, please.
ليلة القدر خير من ألف شهر.
MashaAllah. We've got two going on. Describe them to me.
ليلة القدر خير. On top of the ra we have tanween. Following it is meme, so we apply the ruling of idgham with ghunna. And idgham with ghunna for meme, because meme already has shadda on it, it will already have ghunna. We will not pronounce the tanween and just do ghunna for 2 counts on the meme.
MashaAllah. Yep, beautiful. And the next one?
خير من, nun has sukun on it, so this is another nun sakin, followed by hamza or alif. So this is one of the izhar letters, the throat letters. So we will pronounce it clearly. So we'll pronounce the nun clearly and then follow without any ghunna with the next letter as normal.
MashaAllah. I'd like to add in as well that the components wise, so for this one, components, we are skipping the tongue component, we are keeping the nasal component. For this one, we are keeping the tongue component, we are omitting the nasal component. Barakallahu feek, good job. Actually, also, everyone pay attention to this. Hot tip. If you have a noon, and on top of the noon you have the actual sukoon symbol, this little like ha kind of symbol going on over here, that is a indicator for you. This is not every mushaf has this, but if your mushaf does, you're lucky. That means it will always be idhar. So the rule of idhar, we know, to make clear, it's always because it's a throat letter after it. However, you also can find out if it's idhar if it has our little sukoon symbol on top. There's a little Easter egg in there. Nice. Could be helpful. But I don't want you to use that as a proof. So don't rely on there being a sukoon all the time on top of the noon to help you find out if it's to make clear. All right. Muhammad Tawsif.
ثم لتسألن يومئذ عن النعيم.
MashaAllah. Again.
ثم لتسألن يومئذ عن النعيم.
MashaAllah. Where's the noon sakin or tanween we're looking for?
Here. يومئذ. So you do idhar. So you just do the tanween without a ghunna, and then you do the ayn.
Nice. MashaAllah. Good stuff. Nawira?
Yeah.
Oh, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can you please read this line here?
Can I do it after?
Yeah. Mustafa?
Thank you. Yeah.
Can you please read this line?
كلا لينبذن.
Sorry, no, this line over here.
كلا لينلم. لئن لم ينتهي لنسفعا بالناصية.
Okay. I want you just to explain to me this noon over here. This noon sakin.
So that noon sakin is followed by a lam, which is idgham without gunna. And you would just, so you wouldn't do the gunna, but you would still do the your tongue will still touch your teeth.
Would it?
لئن لم? No, you would skip it.
You'd skip both?
No, just the noon sakin.
No, you'd skip both.
Oh,
Sorry, you'd skip the noon sakin. You'd skip both components of the noon sakin.
Oh yeah, you'd skip both noon. both.
بارك الله فيك. ما شاء الله. All right, brother عظيم.
Assalamu alaikum.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Can you please read this line here?
أرأيت إن كذب وتولى.
ما شاء الله. Describe to me the noon second.
So noon without vowel there in, and it's followed by kaf. Sorry, just one second. My daughter came into the room.
No, take your time.
Sorry about that. So noon, there's a noon sakin, and followed by kaf. So kaf is
It doesn't have to be the Arabic noon. No worries. I can help you out. I'll give you a hint. This one is ikhfa. Ikhfa. So how would you describe it? What components are we keeping or not keeping?
So we
read it out again. Just these two.
in kazzaba.
MashaAllah. So what component?
So I think we keep the gunna without the tongue component.
Yes, correct. Absolutely, 100%. MashaAllah. So we keep the gunna and we omit the tongue component. So it goes in kadhaba. And this comes under ikhfa, to hide. All right. Haris?
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Please read this line.
عبدا إذا صلى.
Again.
عبدا إذا صلى.
MashaAllah. How do you describe going on here?
So the dal has a tanween on it, and because there's an alif or hamza afterwards, we make idhar. So, yeah.
Components wise, what components are we keeping or not keeping?
There's no ghunna, and the noon sound is kept. So because it's you're supposed to say clear.
Nice. MashaAllah, spot on. Ammar, can you read this line here, please?
من ماء مهين.
MashaAllah. We've got two. Explain them to me.
So in the first one we have min. There's a noon without anything on it, so it's a noon sakina, and it's followed by a meme, which is a layer of idgham with ghunna, and so we skip the tongue sound of the noon, the na, and we keep the ghunna for 2 counts. And in the second one, it's the same thing, but instead of a noon sakin, it's tanween.
Nice. MashaAllah. That's the same. Yeah. Barakallahu feek. All right, and the last one, Amr.
Yep.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you please read
عليكم السلام
this one
ورحمة
here?
الله. Yep. ويل يومئذ للمكذبين.
MashaAllah. And the next one?
يوما عبوسا قمطريرا.
MashaAllah. So we have 2 tanweens here. Explain them both.
Yep. The first one is tanween. After it's followed by ayn, so it is izhar. And the second one it's tanween followed by qaf. Al-qaf, it's ikhfa letter, so it is, we will skip the tongue of the noon and we'll keep the nasal one.
Barakallahu feek. MashaAllah. Very good. Did I miss anyone? Let me double check. That looks like the whole class, mashallah. All right. So we do have a bit of time. Now, today we are going to go over another chapter, and that is chapter 3 of the of our matn, of our tuhfa. Bismillah. So far we've gone over 2 chapters, the introduction, and then we've gone over the rules of Noon, Sakina, and Tanween. Chapter number 3, the rules of Noon and Mim Mushaddadatain. The Sheikh writes, and I quote, أحكام النون والميم المشددتين وغن ميما ثم نونا شددا وسمي كلا حرف غنة بدا. And that is the end of the chapter. Apply the ghunna to the letter mim and to the letter noon whenever it has a shad, and name each of them a letter of ghunna. This is the whole chapter. Chapter 3 is one singular line. Again, وغن ميما ثم نونا شددا وسمي كلا حرف غنة بدا. If mim or noon has a shadda, then apply the ghunna and call each of them a letter of ghunna. Go over to our little textbooky thing that we've got. See what they say. Bismillah. The rules of mim and noon mushaddad. If a mim or a noon has a shadda, then the reciter must make ghunna. What does that mean? Shadda is our little shadda is the little W-y kind of symbol over here. All right, shadda, like in the name of Allah Jalla Jalaluh. If we see the shadda, we double the letter. Shadda is simply 2 letters put into one, and we make ghunna. Ghunna is the nasal vibration that comes from inside the nose. We've talked about it so many times, and we do that for 2 harakat, 2 counts. So if mim has a shadda, then it's and if noon has a shadda, we do it for 2 counts, again from the nose. And we call this the rules of noon and mim mushaddad, i.e. emphasized. A shadda just means an emphasis. It's an emphasis on a letter. Now that is probably the clearest chapter in there. It's very straightforward. Does anyone have any questions on it? No. Well, I have a question. This is an interesting one. I want you to think beyond the text. Why would the author make a whole chapter just for one single line about one single rule? Any thoughts? I'll give you a hint. There's no right answer because he never told us. But what are some reasons he could have done this for? Because we have theories.
Does he separate every rule by chapter?
No, the last chapter had 4 rules in it. Muhammad?
Maybe to highlight its importance.
100%. To highlight its importance. The concept of doing the shadda on the noon or the mim, to do the ghunna on the noon or the mim, mushaddada, the emphasized noon or mim, is so important, and it's so commonly neglected that he wanted to put so much emphasis that he puts in a whole chapter. And that's why, for you guys, as you're doing your notes, you're compiling your notes. I know many of you would be compiling them by lesson. It would be better if you compiled them by chapter of the book. But you can always go back and do that later. I want you to have your subheading for chapter 3, the rules of noon and mim mushaddad, emphasized. I want that to be a whole thing by itself in your notes. Again, if mim or noon has a shadda, i.e. this little W little symbol, then you must double the letter and you must make the ghunna, the nasal vibration. And you must prolong it for 2 harakat, for 2 counts. This vibration from the nose is unique. It only applies to meme and noon and only meme and noon. No other letter in the Quran should engage your nose. There is no time ever beyond these two letters where you should be engaging your nose. We are in a different issue than him. The Sheikh, when he first wrote this text, he had an issue where no one was doing the nasal vibration. Everyone was just reading noon and mim just as is. Everyone kept forgetting that part because these are things which make the Quran unique. Normal human speech, or like even like that hadith, they don't have ghunnah. It doesn't really make sense. It's something which is it's a unique characteristic of the Quran, of the speech of Allah Jalla Jalaluh. We have the opposite problem, and that's why this is not covered in the text, but I want to cover it. In that, many of us have the luxury, alhamdulillah, all of us have the luxury of being able to access a recording of someone who read Quran at one point. It's recorded, captured in time, immortal, and we can then go and replay it and listen to it over and over again, even after the person has died. That's a blessing, but it comes with a few shortcomings. And that is the nature of audio recording, microphones and radios and whatnot, is especially in the olden days, they would come with a bit of extra feed, a bit of extra noise. They'd have a little bit of a buzz or a fuzziness in the background. A lot of people who then listen to these recordings of the Quran from some of the great qaris, they would hear that buzz and they would try and imitate that buzz going on in the background. And to imitate it, the only way they can imitate it is by humming through the nose. So they would read the Quran, instead of reading it nice and clear from their mouths, with the air coming in from their puku, from their belly and from their throat, instead of reading قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, they would read قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, where it came from the nose. That is completely forbidden. Do not do that. Only use your nose for noon and meme. A good way to test that, and I did try this last week, I believe, is you pinch your nose and you read. It should only cause you distress when you are pronouncing a meme or a noon. For example, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Qul huwa Allahu ahad. I did that all with my nose completely blocked. That should not have caused me any distress because I'm not going to engage my nose for that anyway. I hope that makes it clear. That's a new chapter heading in there, and alhamdulillah, that is all for today. So a quick recap of what we've done. We went over the rules of Noon, Sakina, and Tanween, and we went into chapter 3, and that is the rules of Meme and Noon Mushaddadatain. Drop-in sessions, we will be sending out details for that soon, inshallah. In the meantime, does anyone have any questions from the brother's side? Sweet, Jazakumullah khairan, brothers. I'll see you on Thursday, inshallah, or in the drop-in sessions. And have a great rest of your day. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
All sisters now? Yes. All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Go for it.
Can you go over the explanation form to make it absolutely clear?
All right. Izhar mutlaq. Let's go back to that. Let me share my screen. All right. So as we said, the idgham only applies when we're talking about letters between two separate words. If idgham, if merging, occurs within the same word, so that is you've got a noon sakin followed by one of the letters of idgham, yarmulun, ya, ra, mim, lam, waw, noon. Then instead of merging the noon, we pronounce it clearly. And that's what we call izhar mutlaq, to make absolutely clear. So examples, sinwan and dunya. If you notice here in the word dunya, so dunya, this life, this world, I have noon, sakin. There's no vowels on this, but it would be sukun, followed by a ya. Ya is yarmulun. Yep, it's one of my letters of idgham. So I know that I need to make this merged. But because it's within the same word, it's not two separate words, then instead I'm going to make it clear and I'm going to pronounce the n component of the noon, but not the ghunna, not the nasal component of the noon. So it altogether goes dunya, dunya. And the other three is sinwan, qinwan, bunyan. Does that explain it?
Yep.
Barakallahu feek. Any other questions? All right, so I had a question from the admin team. They asked me to ask you, would anyone see value in a sisters only drop-in session? At the moment, they're mixed, and that's just how it is because limited resources. Would anyone see value in a sisters only drop-in session, or is it just unnecessary? We can go without it.
I would say yes, because I think it'd be I think everyone would be more comfortable reciting, or yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree as well.
Amina, what do you think?
Yeah, it could be beneficial. So for the ladies to build their confidence.
Okay, and Ishfa?
Yes, it would be better for me also.
Okay, easy as inshallah. We are currently in the works for recruiting a female teacher to help out with this course, but yeah, that is a work in progress. What I'll do, I'll put through a poll in the sisters group chat to see what time suits you all best for doing a sisters only drop-in session, and because there's no point of doing it if no one's going to show up. And that's the thing. It's not something we've ever done before in any other classes. If we're going to offer it, the very least we can expect is attendance for that. Is that okay?
Yep.
All right. Barakallah feekum.
I have a question. So
Yes.
I'm not there in a sisters group, WhatsApp group.
Oh, interesting. Sorry. By the way, where are you based?
In Wellington.
Okay, hold on. That must have been a technical error.
It's okay.
That's okay. I'll let Asrar know. Sorry about that. I'll
Okay,
let him know.
no problem.
And you in. Sorry.
Okay. Jazakallah khaira.
Jazana wa iyyakum. Barakallahu feek. Any other questions? Awesome. Jazakumullah khairan. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you inshallah next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakumullah khairan.
Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum.